Do you think that there is some truth to the Shedeur dropping out of the first round, which is causing Deion and Shedeur to sing a different tune?
I think it could be smoke. I mean, it's hard to believe much of what you're hearing now because it's a lot of teams trying to, you know, coerce other teams into passing on somebody so they drop to them. So I can see Shador falling into the back half of the first round. But it's just funny how the tune has changed since a lot of teams are backing off of him a little bit. And, that report that GM put out or that anonymous report from that GM, it's crazy to hear that right before the draft. It feels out of place. And I don't know why that guy felt the need to do it the day before the draft, saying how he's bad in the interviews, this and that. I mean, what good does that do for anybody at this stage? But I think, yeah, Shador is probably not going in the top 10, maybe not even the top 25. Like, if the Giants really want him, they could probably trade into the first round and get him in the back half or Dart or somebody. But he's going to be available there at 21 probably for the Steelers if they want him. But again, his stock is it's taken a hit since January.
I I think I think Shador's physical limitations are the reason why he's falling. Obviously, right? The lack of elite traits that these guys look for are arm strength, incredible mobility, incredible processing and ability to throw in anticipation. I think people kind of watch this film and realize he doesn't throw with as much anticipation as people think he does, um, and that's fine. But the question is about Deion and the way they handled his potential draft status, right? His potential draft eligibility, and talking about it and going on Wallow's podcast and go saying, hey, there's certain places, there's certain states, there's certain teams where if they're looking to draft him, we gonna make a call. That's what he said, something along those lines. And the mismanagement, when you don't have like those traits we're talking about that I just went through, and your dad is Deion Sanders, and he's out here talking a big game, talking about how you won't go to certain places, how he literally said they're going to pull an Eli under certain circumstances. It doesn't help you. Like you definitely didn't need him to say that. You didn't need to talk a big game, right? It's obviously Shador is very confident on the field. You're right. He borderline cocky, but that's okay, right? Most of the time he backed up in college football, so that's fine. But and that's the way his dad was. But at the same time, like again, you need to be really, really good to justify those kind of conversations. I mean, think about Caleb Williams, the undoubted number one pick in last year's class, and you never heard that kind of conversation from him, ever. Right? At any point did he never made it seem like he wasn't going to the Bears. He never made it seem like there were certain places he didn't want to play at any point. So for Shedeur to go out there, or for his father to go out there and talk that big game on his behalf, I definitely think it plays a role in the perception of him and the narrative surrounding him, and the fact that we're in a situation now where he's going to fall at the first round. I do believe that. I do think it's not just football stuff. I don't think it's on. I do think it's mainly that it's 95% football reasoning, but it's also like the other 5%, like what comes with him. Like for the player that we're getting, what comes with him. And I'm not saying that Deion will give anybody a hard time, but it creates a perception that you are Hollywood and that you're going to come with a lot of high maintenance. And teams in the NFL, especially the NFL, aren't going to tolerate that. So I don't know, man. I think his dad puts his foot in his mouth a lot. I know he backed off of it now that we're in the process, but I think he puts his foot in his mouth. I definitely believe that. I think that you were talking all this big stuff, and all of a sudden when people ask you about it now, it's like, oh well, we're just happy wherever he goes. I don't know, man. Pick one. And also, it makes me feel like there's some validity to the claim that maybe, just maybe, your son isn't as good as people thought he was. Right? Maybe you believe that, because if you thought he was great and he was the greatest thing since the coffee lid was invented, maybe you wouldn't, back off of that claim now in the situation. You wouldn't back off of your statements early on in the process. So I just, Deion puts his foot in his mouth, and here we are, right? It's an interesting situation with Shedeur. I do think he's in the slide. I think the Steelers won't take him at 21. He's looking at the end of the night getting drafted, or the next day in the second round. So it'll be interesting. But he's definitely not going in the top 15 picks. It's not going to happen. So,
Hey, real quick, do you feel that this is a very similar mishandling of the representation of their sons with Deion and LeBron James?
no.
It's
One
different.
was,
It's different.
no, yeah.
But I mean, because Bronny, I don't think he wasn't going to be a first round pick. He wasn't up there for months and months talking about like top 5, top 10. Like when he left, it was like, oh my God, why is he leaving? Whereas Shedeur, it was expected that he was going to leave. He was going to go out and be a first round pick, top 5 pick probably. But I don't think it helps with Deion doing what he did in the past, saying that we're only going to a select few teams. I know LeBron did that, Bronny did that, and I mean he got to where he wanted to go. But I don't think Shedeur or Deion has that type of power to kind of make whatever team they want to go to pick them. Like the quarterbacks next year are going to be better than. I mean, Cam Ward is the top of the top. He might be top of the top next year too, but after that, it's a real heavy downslide for the quarterbacks. And I mean, Shedeur might not even be the second quarterback picked in this draft, if we're being honest. And I mean, he's got the flash and the bravado of Deion, but he's lacking the athleticism to back it up. And sure, he's got the skill level of accuracy, but at quarterback, I think you're going to need a little more than that. I mean, Drew Brees and some of these other guys who have lived off of accuracy, you can name a handful of guys. Like you're gonna have to have a strong arm and a guy who takes a lot of sacks. I mean, if you're rolling out of the pocket, throwing off your back foot, you're not gonna have a lot of zip on the ball. So whoever takes them, it's a risk, it's a gamble. There's going to be a lot of media circus that comes with it too. So I think that plays a part in who takes them and who wants to deal with that for the next 4 or 5 years, possibly. But we're going to see tomorrow. It's going to be real interesting to see if – I don't think he's going to be at the draft. I think he's going to be
yeah, he didn't
he mentioned that. He's not going to be at the draft. But it's good that he's not going to be at the draft. He could be waiting there until Friday. So
sometimes there's intel that you have intel that you're not going to go first round. Sometimes that might be the reason why. I know he always had it planned, so it's unlikely. But yeah, the handling isn't the same. LeBron was never that arrogant when it came to Bronny. Was he arrogant? Yes, when he said that Bronny's better than some NBA players right now. Yeah, that was arrogance. But to suggest, and I know you're not suggesting, but for anyone to suggest that this is the same, or that the way that Deion's mismanaged Shedeur is the same as LeBron, it's not quite the same. I think Deion had a stronger leg to stand on if he wanted to talk crazy. Shedeur was playing great football over at Colorado, and he has a great track record in college. He does, but there are some things that hurt Shedeur. It's Pat Shermer running the offense, running this really dink and dunk offense with a million screen passes. Teams are going to hold that against you. It's underthrowing the deep ball sometimes, which I didn't see as much when you watch it on TV, but obviously when you go back and watch the film, there are some balls and guys that come back to the football. It did happen a little bit. So, I think there are some questions about Shedeur that are legitimate, but if you're, in terms of the comparison between the two situations with Bronny and him, I don't think it's even remotely close, just because Shedeur has a better leg to stand on, a better resume, and that's not Bronny's fault, because Bronny's heart stopped. So you can't hold that against the kid, right? But I think they both were arrogant, and I think that parents need to stop overestimating the abilities of their children and just approach this thing with humility, no matter how good your kid may be. And that happens at every level. I see it all the time. I could tell you an example right now that just happened to me tonight. I'm a parent overestimating a kid's ability. It just happened. Telling me he should play all game, but he got flat ass feet. You see, it's that type of stuff.
Chill, coach.
Hey man, obviously Shedeur had a conversation with Griff. Talked to Griff and was like, I'm not going to be at the draft. Griff let him know. All of his sources said you not being drafted in the first round. So he ain't gonna be there